Okay, have you ever had that moment? I mean, you're just standing there racking your brain for, I don't know, a friend's phone number you've definitely called 100 times.
Oh, yeah. Or directions you know you should know.
Exactly. Or directions.
Yeah.
And your mind just nothing. It's totally blank.
That feeling.
And you get that little jolt like, wow, I really depend on this phone for information I feel like I ought to know.
Well, sure.
I mean, seriously, what if you had to remember your partner's anniversary without that calendar ping?
Yeah. That's a scary thought for some.
But it really is. Well, look, you're definitely not alone with that feeling. It's actually right at the core of our deep dive today. We're getting into digital amnesia. It's all about how our brains are, well, kind of adapting, maybe even rewiring themselves in this age of constant connection, smartphones, AI.
It's happening right now, all around us.
Totally. So our mission today is really to unpack what's going on with our memory, why it's such a big deal, and maybe most importantly, what we can actually do about it to keep that mental muscle strong.
Yeah. And what's really striking is just how fast this seems to have happened. Digital amnesia, basically, it's forgetting stuff because you've outsourced it. You trust your phone, your computer, whatever, to remember it for you.
Okay.
It's a term that really got traction after Kaspersky, the cybersecurity guys, did this big global study. They found loads of people couldn't recall simple things anymore, like their kids' or parents' phone numbers.
Because the phone just does it. Click the name, it dials.
Exactly. Why bother remembering?
And it's got to be more than just phone numbers, right? I mean, addresses, birthdays, appointments.
Oh, absolutely. Dates, facts, little bits of info we used to just know. Now they live in the cloud or, somewhere on our device. We don't hold on to them internally in the same way.
So, okay, if we're doing all this outsourcing, what is actually happening up here in the brain? Is our memory, shrinking?
Well, that's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
Yeah.
It really comes down to this amazing thing called neuroplasticity.
Ah, right. The brain changing itself.
Yeah, exactly. It's the brain's ability to reorganize, to adapt based on how we use it. So if we consistently stop actively retrieving information ourselves,
Like looking up that phone number every single time.
precisely, then those specific neural pathways, the ones for recalling that info, they can genuinely weaken. It's the classic use it or lose it scenario, but happening biologically in our heads.
Wow.
And there's also research into something called transactive memory. It shows that relying on these external sources could be your phone, could be Google, could even be your partner who always remembers the
Oh,
details.
yeah, guilty.
Right. It fundamentally changes how we store memories. Instead of embedding the actual information, our brain gets really good at remembering where to find it.
Okay, so it's not forgetting entirely. It's shifting focus
Yeah.
from what to where.
You got it. The priority shifts from internal storage to external retrieval mapping. My brain knows the phone knows the number.
That's a pretty huge shift.
Yeah.
So how does this, play out in everyday life? What are the effects we can actually see or feel?
Well, one thing many people notice is shorter attention spans. It feels harder to focus deeply.
Definitely feel that sometimes.
Yeah, and it's not just about being easily distracted. It might be linked to the dopamine hit we get from constant novelty online. Every notification, every quick scroll.
Little reward buzz.
Exactly, little burst. And that constant craving for the next immediate thing, it trains our brain to skim, to prefer shallow processing. It makes it harder to do the deep encoding you need for solid long-term memories.
So we're always ready to jump to the next shiny thing instead of really absorbing what's in front of us.
Pretty much. And kind of worryingly, we're seeing reports, trends of memory recall issues popping up more in younger adults, which isn't something you'd normally expect.
Yeah, that is concerning and messes with focus, memory, building. And there's an emotional side too, isn't there? I've heard this term, nomophobia.
Yes. Nomophobia. It's short for no mobile phone phobia. And it's exactly what it sounds like. That feeling of anxiety, sometimes real distress, when people are separated from their devices, when they can't access them.
Like leaving your phone at home by accident. That panic.
Exactly, that panic. It really highlights just how integrated these devices are now. They're not just tools anymore. They're tied into our sense of well-being, our connection, and our very ability to function and access our outsourced memory.
It's wild how deep that connection goes, emotionally deep. And, while nomophobia feels super, super modern, this kind of worry, this anxiety about technology messing with our minds, it's not exactly new, is it?
Oh, not at all. If you pull back and look at the bigger picture, you see these echoes throughout history. It's actually fascinating.
Like what?
Well, think about Socrates. Way back, he famously worried that the invention of
Writing itself.
yes, that writing would make people's memories weaker. He thought people would just rely on the written word, on external symbols, instead of cultivating their own internal memory. They wouldn't practice remembering.
So his fear wasn't just that we'd get dumber, but that the way we think and remember would change, maybe for the worse.
Precisely. He saw it as potentially losing a really vital cognitive skill.
Mm.
And you see similar anxieties pop up again and again with big tech shifts, the printing press.
Making books common.
Right, then radio, then television. Each time, people worried, how is this new thing going to affect how we think, how we remember, how we pay attention?
Huh. So the tech changes, but our fundamental human reaction, that sort of fear about losing ourselves, it kind of rhymes through history.
It really does, which naturally brings us right up to the present day and the really big one right now, AI.
Right, because now we're not just talking about phones storing numbers. We're talking about, well, intelligent systems. What's the AI frontier look like for memory?
Yeah, this is where it gets even more complex, maybe even more profound. You've got tools like ChatGPT, Google Lens, other apps emerging that can do really complex recall for you.
Like Google Lens identifying a plant instantly or ChatGPT summarizing a massive report.
Exactly. Things that used to require significant knowledge or effort. So the big question becomes, okay, are these tools just going to augment our minds, make us more efficient by handling the grunt work of recall?
Freeing up brain space for higher thinking.
Maybe. Or will they lead to an even deeper kind of reliance, a sort of cognitive outsourcing that maybe borders on, well, mental laziness?
It's almost like that sci-fi idea of memory as a service is actually becoming real, like something you could subscribe to.
It basically is. We're seeing companies pop up that are literally building this. Memory as a service is a thing now.
Seriously, like who?
Well, you've got companies like Rewind.ai. Their goal is to create like a searchable record of basically everything you see, say, or hear on your computer. Your entire digital life indexed.
Whoa.
And Mem.ai, which helps organize your thoughts and knowledge automatically. They're commercializing this idea of outsourced memory way beyond just contacts and dates. They're aiming to be your external brain, almost.
Okay, that's, wow. Both incredibly cool and, yeah, a little bit unnerving when you think about the long-term implications. So, all right, faced with all this tech that's literally reshaping how our brains work, how do we find some balance? What can people listening actually do to, push back a little, strengthen their own memory?
That's the key, finding that balance and being intentional. And there are concrete things you can do. One big one is practicing mindfulness.
Just being present.
Yeah, really paying active attention to what you're doing, what you're experiencing. It helps encode information much more strongly in the first place. Another one is deliberately engaging in memory training.
Like brain games.
Could be. Or even simpler things, like actively try to recall details from your day without checking your phone logs or photos. Or try memorizing a short shopping list, or even a poem snippet, just exercising that recall muscle.
So like when you forget one thing on the grocery list, actually try to remember it for a minute instead of just whipping out the phone immediately.
Exactly. That little bit of deliberate effort, that struggle, that's what strengthens those neural pathways we talked about earlier.
Okay, makes sense. What else?
Well, this might sound old school, but keeping a physical journal or notebook, the actual act of writing by hand.
Not typing.
Right. Writing by hand engages different brain areas. It can really boost retention compared to typing. And then there's the obvious one, which is often the hardest. Consciously limit screen time, especially when you need to focus or learn something deeply. Give your brain a chance.
So none of this is about like ditching technology entirely. It's more about using it mindfully.
Precisely. It's about regaining some control, being intentional, and actively working to strengthen your own built-in cognitive abilities. These are just tools to help you do that.
Right. So today we've really journeyed through this whole idea of digital amnesia. We looked at the brain science, the neuroplasticity.
The transactive memory.
Yeah, and the real world effects like shorter attention spans, that nomophobia thing.
And how it's not even totally new, right? Socrates worrying about writing.
Which is wild. And then peering into the future with AI and memory as a service.
It's a lot to take in, but it shows how profoundly technology is influencing us, right down to how we remember.
It absolutely does. And just, understanding that influence is probably the biggest first step to managing it. So, as we wrap up this deep dive, here's something for you to think about.
Yeah.
What's the very last thing you genuinely remember, like really recalled, without reaching for your phone or checking a device?
Good question.
Just mull that over? What was it? We'll catch you on the next deep dive.